Well, that was a pretty fun game. The Baltimore Ravens, they dominate the Dallas Cowboys 31-13. We talk about that as well as some players who dominated, some players who didn't, a stock report. We have a lot coming your way on this instant reaction edition of Locked On Ravens.
You are Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Ravens. Welcome into the show. I'm your host, Kevin Oestreicher of Ravens Wire, here with you on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks so much for being here today, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day and your first listen each and every single day. Free and available for you on all podcasting platforms. That includes in video form on YouTube, where you can like and subscribe to the channel, and of course in audio form where you can follow along and subscribe as well wherever you get your podcasts. We're a 5-day-a-week Ravens show and podcast. Monday through Friday, we have you covered 6 a.m. Eastern time with our regular show. Plus, we obviously have instant reactions to games like we're having right now. We go live after every single piece of Ravens big news. We just finished up our Locked On Ravens watch along, which we're now doing. We watch along every single game and we react to every single play. And of course, we also have a lot of other Ravens coverage and content daily for you on this show. Today's episode of Locked On Ravens is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDON at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Domination is the name of the game here for the Baltimore Ravens, and that is exactly what happened. And the Ravens, they add a preseason win to their total. They're 2-0. Appreciate everybody for being here. Man, there's a lot to dive into, especially when it comes to some of the stars of this game. And there are many stars to dive into, but I think just all around, you saw what you wanted to see in this game, in my opinion. You know, you had the offensive fireworks. Defensively, the Ravens were dominant all game on that side of the ball. And then, you know, you can also look at the special teams, and we'll certainly get to Mr. Tyler Loop throughout the course of this show. But I mean, man, I just I'm excited. I'm excited with what we were able to see in that game tonight. So we're gonna dive into all of that here. Again, appreciate everybody for being here. We have such awesome communities over here on Locked On Ravens. Let's just jump into it. I think a lot of the storylines that we saw heading into this game was, one, the quarterback position, and two, it was the offensive line position. So, you know, Daniel Falele being the headliner there, Cooper Rush and Devin Leary being the being the guys that you had your eyes on. I thought Cooper played a lot better. I thought both guys played a lot better. And, you know, honestly, with how they performed last week, I think anything would have been better than what we saw. But Cooper goes 20-30, 198 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Now, I will only be crediting Cooper with one of those interceptions because, of course, you know, one of those balls went through Rasheen Ali's hands. So I give Cooper some grace on that one. The one to LeJohntay Wester was weird. I think he threw the ball a little early, was a little behind him. LeJohntay didn't turn around for the ball, you know, in time, and it kinda got batted up in the air, and that was the pick six. But I thought we saw a lot better pocket mobility from Cooper Rush, a lot better decision making. And again, we only saw 4 throws from him in the first game, so he almost times 10 his workload in this game. But even still, I'm not, like, uberly confident in him, but I feel better than I did last week, right? I feel better than I did last week. And I see Tila saying, "I want another option for quarterback," and I get it if you do. Now, I will say this, just so people understand the context, and just so, you know, everybody knows it. I put it out on social media as well. Cooper Rush, and I think I said this last week on the Instant Reaction show, but he had a, you know, contract with the Ravens. It was 2 years, $12.2-ish million. He carries a $4 million dead cap hit this season and a $1.9 million cap hit. So, you know, he's probably not going anywhere, right? He's probably not going. So, at this point, you know, I think that overall, you just have to live with it. Kinda just have to live with it. So, actually, we just got news here. We got a lot of John Harbaugh news, and we'll get into a lot of this on tomorrow's show with Tyler Loop being the kicker, some injury updates as well. So John Harbaugh currently speaking to the media. Luke was awesome in this game, and I think that, when you look at how he did, and we'll get to him specifically in a couple of minutes, but it's about progression from guys, and for Luke, from game 1 to game 2, he had 2 kicks in the first game, he was able to kick 6 field goals in this one, Rush able to throw some more passes, you know, guys getting more opportunities. I think that's really, really big for everybody, especially younger players who are not only fighting for roster spots, but guys who are fighting for roles on this team. So, yeah, it's important. Apparently, Luke has won. Yeah, he's won the Ravens kicker job, so that's big. And not that we didn't really know that with John Horlin being cut, but now we know it's official. Good for Tyler Loop. Devin Leary, on the other hand, he went 5 of 10 for 53 yards. And, you know, for Tyler, big thing. Tyler, sorry, I'm caught up in Tyler Loop stuff right now. With Devin Leary, I thought the zip on the balls were better. I thought he was better with just being able to deliver the ball in a more timely manner. There were a couple of really bad throws from Devin, and this didn't necessarily, mean anything in terms of him making the roster or not making the roster. I don't think he makes the roster at this point. I truly don't. But at least it was better than what we saw last week. I think that the Ravens probably should look elsewhere for a third quarterback. There will be guys that are going to be cut at some point, and I think that they probably have better luck there. He had a couple of really nice throws in this one. He had one to who? Well, he had the one to Jamal Banks, which was called back due to offensive pass interference, which obviously to me was kind of a ticky tack call. But I guess there are a lot of different ticky tack calls that you can kind of point to over the course of the game. And the Ravens certainly have dealt with their fair share, which is just super, super frustrating. But I think that also was it to Dayton Wade? He had a nice ball. It might have been a Dayton Wade. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, the quarterback position was one where, like, I was a bit more pleased with what we saw, but I still don't think that I feel like, "Oh, wow, if Lamar Jackson goes down, the Ravens have enough to go and, hold the fort down until he gets back." Like, that to me. And yeah, you know what? This year from Chum, the referees, how many penalties? Let's look at that real quick. Penalties in this game for both teams. 10 for 56 for the Ravens, 7 for 59 for the Cowboys. 17 penalties in a preseason game is, yeah, not really gonna cut it. You don't really like to see that. But you know what you do like to see? Tez Walker. Tez Walker absolutely dominated this game, 6 for 61. He and Cooper Rush established that chemistry early, established that chemistry often, 10.2 yards per reception. Tez had 8 targets. He led the team in that category as well. Dayton Wade was next on the team with 6. So you like to see that from Tez. Was doing it in a lot of different ways too, short, intermediate, was making big plays, and had a couple of big ones too. Like, that to me, I think was the really important factor here. It wasn't Tez was just the same thing over and over and over again. It was comebackers, it was slants over the middle, it was out routes. Like, he was doing everything. When the season is over, I'm very curious. When the season is over, I think it is certainly possible that Tez could potentially take over the number 3 wide receiver spot from DeAndre Hopkins. Now, is that likely? Probably not, but certainly we've seen crazier things happen before, and I think Tez has looked good during the preseason, especially this game. I know last game there really wasn't a lot to go off with the quarterback play, but in training camp, he's continued to get rave reviews, and so was DeAndre, by the way. With DeAndre, you wanna limit his snaps and not be like, "Oh, you're limiting his potential and his impact." But I think for me, there's a lot of interesting things that you can look at with Tez and DeAndre and say, "Hey, those 2 can complement each other really, really well." So, I like that from Tez. I thought Dayton Wade did have a really good game as well, That to me, I wanted to see these guys step up. I really did, and I thought that Dayton Wade did that. Keith Kirkwood with his touchdown, I thought played well, and when he got the opportunity to shine, he did. It was only a 1-yard touchdown, but he was able to shine in those moments. I thought Anthony Miller was really good too. he's just a solid vet for them. He was on the field for them in that Buffalo game. He was playing significant snaps for them. So I think that for me, with what the Ravens have at wide receiver, it's Zay Flowers, it's DeAndre Hopkins, and it's Rashod Bateman, those 3. But the depth behind them is gonna be really, really important as well. So that to me was big on offense. Now what was also big on offense was Daniel Falele, and, it seems like my mic is kind of cutting out here, which is interesting. Let me do a reset. A little better. I can even a little bit better, but, regardless here of the situation, is it better now? Hopefully it's better now. If not, I will just different microphone because I don't wanna have the microphone be too crazy on me. But the other big thing with what the Ravens did on offense was the offensive line, right? The offensive line was the other big deal here with the Ravens, Daniel Falele being a guy that I thought honestly played decently well. Like, I thought that Falele was different. All right, we're just gonna switch over to the here we go. We're gonna do a little and this is what happens when you go, "Oh, okay, apparently it's a little better now." D Wiz saying it's a little better now. So I'm gonna keep talking. Hopefully, it will be a little better at this point. But Lele, I thought played better. Rosengarten, he had one missed play, but didn't really do all that much. And then Voorhees, I thought uh, played a little bit better. Well, Voorhees was honestly good in the first part of the show. There, all right, cool. It says much better. Very good. All right, glad we didn't have to do the maneuver there. So I apologize for the audio issues. When you're live, you just kind of got to roll through it. But at this point, yeah, with Baltimore, I think the guys that didn't really perform well on the offensive line was Ben Cleveland. He was a guy that got put on his butt. It was Falele last week, and this past week it was you know, Falele. So Ben Cleveland got put on his butt, and Carson Vincent also got put on his butt a little bit as well. Again, it's these guys that you think are depth pieces for me on the offensive line, but you don't have a ton of depth to begin with here if you're the Ravens, where you really have to figure that for the Ravens, if they lose a guy due to injury, it might be a little tough sledding because you do not have a Patrick McCary. You do not have a guy like that who can slide into all 5 positions and play like that. So you're gonna have to rely on a Cleveland or someone, or if Falele doesn't work, then it's gonna have to be somebody else. But yeah, I'm hoping that the Ravens don't have to deal with that over the course of the season. Hopefully, they can stay healthy at that position. But I was impressed, at least more than I was last week with Falele. I thought he played better, and I think that's where everybody's eyes were. That's where my eyes were as well. So overall, a pretty solid game for the offense. Running back wise, Rasheen Ali, he got the job going. He had a pretty hefty workload, 19 carries for 62 yards. Ernest Johnson had 11 carries for 61 yards. And a score, Myles Gaskin, 7 for 20. And then Devin Leary, he had 2 for 5. So, I think at this point, the Ravens know. And actually, we got some interesting updates from John Harbaugh on the running back position. They might be carrying 4 running backs this season, which is interesting. We'll get into that a little bit more on tomorrow's bonus episode of the show. But even still, I thought that despite the drop Rasheen Ali had, I thought he still ran hard. He still ran well. I thought that for Myles Gaskin, he showed some burst, particularly in the return game, but also as a receiver, which I liked. Johnson ran pretty hard. So, yeah, I feel like you like where you are right now if you are the Ravens. But defensively, I thought was even more impressive than offense. So coming up in the second part of the show, we're going to be diving into defense, including Mike Green dominating. He was absolutely unbelievable. So be sure to stay tuned. Plenty coming your way on this instant reaction edition of Locked On Ravens. First, the show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface. on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. And for me, I linked all my accounts to Monarch and immediately spotted a few subscriptions I wasn't even using, and canceling those alone saved me money every month. I've been trying to be big on the saving, doing really well there. And Monarch has been a real game changer for that with me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNFL. We're back here on Locked On Ravens. Kevin Oestreicher still here with you on this instant reaction edition. Hopefully the mic is better now. Again, I guess we had some issues in the first part of the show. I unfortunately cannot hear it when I'm live, so it's up to the chat to tell me. So I appreciate everybody who let me know. Hopefully we are all good now. So apologize for that, both in video and in audio form. But back here now, talking defense. The Ravens win 31-13 over the Cowboys. A lot of positives to take away from the game. And let's just start off with Mr. Mike Green. Now, he only had 2 tackles in the game. And you might be thinking, Kevin, well, 2 tackles, that's it. Like, so what? So what about Mike Green? And my response will be to you, there were a lot of plays that did not show up on the box score that Mike Green should deserve a lot of credit for. Now, the 4th down play was one that will. That play will. And that one was where it was a 4th down and short. Mike Green shed his block and just stood there waiting and stuffed Miles Sanders. Now, he also had an assist from Sanusi Kane and Teddy Buchanan. And Teddy Buchanan, by the way, played awesome in this game. I want to dive into that as well. But I think that for me, with what we saw from Mike Green, the pass rush wins where he almost got to the quarterback, he is your one-stop shop if you are the Ravens as a 3. Honestly, look, in the 4th down play, he's a 4-down player. He's a 4-down player, which is just absolutely incredible. And I think for the Ravens to have a guy like that, because we know that Adafe always good. We know that Kyle Van Noy is good. Tavius Robinson, he's good. But Mike Green has that true superstar potential. And we have seen that on display during training camp. We have seen that on display during these 2 preseason games. And while this one wasn't necessarily as flashy for Mike Green as it was in the first one, where, he was racking up all these incredible plays, he still was racking up plays that weren't showing up on the box score. And to me, I think that that's the most important part. He was making an impact on the game just by being in the game. Whether it was as a run defender, you could see his motor. He was running around the field. And I see Chum putting it in the chat where he's good at tracking that motor of just chasing down a guy. Like that it's really important when you have a player that can go and do that, because, guys that don't give up on plays, and I talked about this on the watch along game. We do the watch alongs here on Locked On Ravens now for every Ravens game play by play. But Deontay Johnson had a route today for the Browns. He just gave up on the route and it resulted in a Dylan Gabriel pick 6. You see the body language was off. One of the things on Mike Green's scouting report was that he plays too hard sometimes. And his motor, is sometimes too, it goes too much and he'll tire himself out. I would rather have a guy that tires himself out with effort compared to a guy that does not give any effort. And to me, we see that consistently from Mike Green. He was winning with a bunch of different moves. We still saw the bend on the edge. Again, we saw him stack and shed the lineman during that 4th down run. That was not, the Ravens got a 1st down on that, turnover on downs. I'm so impressed with Mike Green. And again, while his playing time might not be there at the start of the season, at the very start, because you still have guys like Owe, Van Noy, Robinson, and based off of recent Ravens history trends, certainly the Ravens do value those vets over, some of the rookies at first, but rookies do play their way into roles eventually. I think that by the time the season ends, my bold prediction, and this is, I guess, a sneak preview. I've said it before, but I'll do a bold prediction episode a couple weeks from now, and I'll say this. I think by the end of the season, Mike Green will be the biggest or the best Ravens pass rusher on that roster. Like, that's how much I believe in him, and that's how much that I truly think the Ravens got a star in Mike Green here. Like, we know why he fell. The Ravens felt comfortable enough to take him. And, for this point with him, Robinson, Owe, Van Noy, there was not a single player in that draft that would have changed my mind outside of Abdul Carter in that Ravens pass rush room like Mike Green would have, and they got him in the second round, which to me is just absolutely unbelievable. But we won't talk all Mike Green here. Also, we will dive into other defensive players because there were other defensive players that made a name for themselves in this one. Ruben Lowry was unreal in this game. Now, he was someone that was being talked about a lot. Training camp, he's had really good moments. He's been playing corner. He's been playing safety for them. He was all over the field in this game tonight. 4 tackles. He had a pass defense. He also had an interception in this game playing safety. His versatility as both a corner and a safety is valuable to them, especially because we saw that Lowry was playing snaps over Bo Braid, who went into the Ravens injury tent. I mean, there were a lot of things that Lowry did in this game, whether it was strong tackling, tight coverage, the interception and the turnover. That's how you make a roster. That's not only how you make it, that's how you solidify playing time. And he was making plays on special teams. And how do we know this about the Ravens? One of the best ways that you can make the Ravens roster and make an impact and secure your spot, go play special teams. Go do your thing on special teams. That, to me, is what Ruben Lowry was doing. We also saw that from Keon Martin, who had that great blitz that resulted in the safety to open up the scoring for the Ravens. He was all over the field. I want to shout out Teddy Buchanan, too. He only had 4 tackles in this game. It felt like so much more. He was all over the place. I was super impressed with Teddy Buchanan. He, to me, took the lead for that spot next to Roquan Smith because, Trenton Simpson really didn't do a lot for me. Like, I didn't really see him flash a ton. I think that for me, Trenton Simpson is probably on that stock down list that we're going to get to in the final part of the show. Teddy was quick. He was decisive. He was in the backfield. He was making tackles. He had a really nice deflection on a pass. Like, he was doing everything for the Ravens in this game. A lot of guys were doing everything for the Ravens in this game. There was a lot of quality play from the Ravens over the course of this game, and guys that not only are secured with their roster spots, but also guys that have their roster spots secured, but could maybe play themselves into a bigger role as the season goes on, or maybe just at the start of the season, which again, that spot next to Roquan, it is still wide open. I would probably name Buchanan as that second guy right now. I just think he earned it in this game. I truly do. So shout out to him. I think that he did a really, really good job in this game. I also think Aeneas Peebles had a solid game. Malik Ham showed up. Jay Higgins led this team in tackles. He, to me, is earning a Ravens roster spot right before our eyes. Chandler Martin also had half a sack in this game alongside Kamon Rucker, which was cool. TJ Tampa had a couple of really nice plays. CJ Ravenel played well. I mean, you like to see a lot of these guys making names. Malaki Starks, I thought, even though he only had 1 tackle and he hasn't necessarily flashed in the box score department, he certainly has made a name for himself, which I think is not just, oh, he made a tackle here, or he made a stop here. It was also, oh, he stopped the quarterback from going to his first read, and he made the quarterback make a tougher throw. Like, it was plays like that I thought stood out with Malaki. Whereas he didn't have the star-studded box score stat stuffer performance. But those are the types of plays that can win or lose your games, is if a guy knows how to make the right play and, sometimes sacrifice to make the right play if it means that he's not going to get in the box score or being the big guy there. And Malaki, I think, sacrifices a lot for the Ravens, or at least he's shown that over the first couple of weeks. I think he's had a couple of really nice drives for the Ravens so far, but we still have a lot to talk about because I'll tell you, and diving into the team stats very quickly here, the Ravens held the Cowboys to just 176 total yards. The Cowboys had -5 total yards at the end of the first quarter. There was absolutely domination. 2 for 11 for the Cowboys on third down, 8 for 17 for Baltimore on third down, 26 first downs compared to just 7 for the Cowboys throughout the entire course of the game. The Ravens held the ball for 40 minutes. The Cowboys were just 20. So there's a lot there. But of course, Tyler Loop, he's another big story in this game. Coming up, we'll talk about the special teams unit as well as diving into a full list of stock up and stock down. So stay tuned. Plenty is coming your way here on this instant reaction edition of Locked On Ravens. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. It's the best time of the year. NFL kickoff's almost here, and that means fantasy football season is back in full swing. And this year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. This year, me and Locked On Ravens are playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. And one of my favorite features of the new Guillotine leagues, they just dropped, and every week the lowest scoring team is eliminated and the last one standing wins. Whether you're all in on something new where you like sticking to head-to-head leagues or jumping into public leagues, Yahoo's got you covered. Celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness. Yahoo Fantasy shopping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. Kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues, a total new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. With the season around the corner, now's the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, you can still play in head-to-head private leagues or join public leagues too. Stay tuned for more killer announcements to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Back here, Locked On Ravens. Kevin Oestreicher still instantly reacting to you, or with you, to the Ravens game. 31-13 win over the Cowboys. Had some technical difficulties in the earlier parts of the show, so again, my apologies for that. But seems like we are back on track with the mic. Almost had to do a quick maneuver to switch over microphones to make sure we didn't have those, but apparently it's sounding okay now, which is good. Appreciate everybody for being here. Of course, Locked On Ravens, we have 5 days a week of Ravens coverage for you on the weekdays, every single week, weekday, Monday through Friday. We're going to have a bonus episode tomorrow talking about more Ravens headlines and storylines. And also, of course, we have the watch-alongs where we watch along every single game now. We just finished up our second one there, which was incredible. Almost 5,000 people tuned into that one. We also go instantly, we react live instantly after every single Ravens game and every single piece of Ravens big news. But, and also, by the way, Locked On Ravens Squad show is coming up after this. Myself, Sam, and Joku. Not sure if Kadri Ismail is going to join us for this one, but Q usually is on it with us. We talk Ravens twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, Saturdays when the Ravens play. So switches up sometimes with how the time ends up going. Man, I thought no one in the stream, Taurus, no one in the stream. I thought I was gonna have to with the microphone issues, but thankfully we are not there. Tyler Loop. Let's talk about Tyler Loop real quick. Tyler Loop went 5 or 6 on field goals in this game, made an absolute statement in this one, and certainly earned John Harbaugh's praise after the game, no doubt. Let's just go over what he did, because clearly these kicks to him, they really didn't feel like he was putting in a ton of effort. I mean, obviously he was, but he made a 29-yarder, 36-yarder, 42-yarder, 51-yarder, 53-yarder, and 2 extra points. His only miss came from 50 yards out. So 5 for 6 on field goals on the day. Second ever game for Tyler Loop at the NFL level, albeit it is the preseason. So, of course, got to take it with a bit of a grain of salt. It's not as, the competitive nature of it is not as big of a deal as maybe a 18-16 game at Acrisure Stadium where you got to kick a game winner there. But regardless, I was still very impressed. He had room to spare on his 50-plus yard kicks. The 50-yarder went wide to the left, which, it was fine. I mean, look, I'm not expecting him to be perfect. I'm not expected to be perfect here. Like, he's going to have some rookie ups and downs. 5 for 6 with those types of makes and the way that he was hitting them right through the middle. I mean, I thought that for Tyler, that to me was really, really impressive. Because we know the Ravens have a type with their kickers, right? The legs. It was the legs. They like the strong leg kickers. Tyler Loop, he certainly has that. Now, what the Ravens have is Randy Brown, who's one of the best kicking gurus in the NFL. He works wonders with these guys. They've been working on mechanics all off season. We've talked and we've heard about from Q and other people we've had on the show about the Ravens and their training camp, how, he looks good. He's working through things, and a game like tonight certainly gives you a lot of confidence. It gives me at least a lot of confidence that, the Ravens have found someone that can be at least more consistent than Justin Tucker was for them last year. Because that's my big thing. The Ravens struggled at the kicker position last year. They are a team that overcame 3/4 of a horrendous Justin Tucker season, games where Justin Tucker lost the Ravens multiple games last year. It was super unlike him. Obviously, he's no longer with the team. At this point, if Tyler Loop is even just a little better than Justin Tucker was last season, it's a win. It's a win. So I liked what I saw from him. I thought Jordan Stout was fine in this game. There wasn't really anything that I could point to. LeJounte actually, as a returner, he had a play where he faked out the Cowboys so bad he got let. There were a lot of hard hits in this game. Malaki had one. Who else? I think Martin had the one Keon Martin had one on Joe Milton in the end zone for the safety. Devin Leary got rocked on a pass interference call. Like there were a lot of guys that just got walloped on the day. But overall, I was really happy and really pleased. Hopefully the Ravens can continue their momentum. I don't know if they're going to play their starters in week 3 for a series or not, but even if they don't, we're going to we're going to see, because even if they don't, the Ravens guys who played in this game will get other opportunities, and guys fighting for roster spots. This is the last opportunity for them, especially with no joint practices against the Commanders anymore, to be able to make a name for themselves. So let's do some stock up, stock down before we get out of here, and we'll transition over into the Locked On Ravens squad show with myself, Sam and Njoku, maybe Q. Not sure if Q's going to show up tonight. I know he's been busy with he's actually in Vegas, I believe, right now, watching his son, Kadir, who was on the Raiders, who I think had a pretty decent game tonight. So not sure if Q's going to join, but Q is usually with us, so we will see. I put together a list of stock up, stock down. I put it on social media. By the way, if you don't follow me on social media, just maybe I'm a little biased. I think I do a decently good job over there. You can follow me over there at CashRecord34, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Just started up on TikTok. I have no idea how to use it, but we're trying. My stock up, stock down. Let's just go through it here. I thought Cooper Rush, his stock went up to me. I get the interception. The one was bad. The second one wasn't on him, but he just was better. His stock from where he was, it was better. I think it got raised. Tez Walker, stock up. Falele, again, sometimes no news is good news with those offensive linemen, and I thought he put a lot of good things on tape too. So Falele, his stock was up. Mike Green, I saw a comment, someone asking how Mike Green, I'm not looking at the screen right now, so I apologize, but Mike Green played really well. He was one of the MVPs. I think he was the MVP on defense, in my opinion. He was that good despite only having 2 tackles. Teddy Buchanan, talked about him all over the field. His stock up for me. Jay Higgins, I think he's going to make the roster. Stock is up. Ruben Lowry, I think he's definitely making the roster. His stock was up. Keon Martin, safety and other plays, stock up. Malaki, stock up. Tyler Loop, stock up. Ben Cleveland and Joseph Noteboom. Joseph Noteboom had a couple of really rough plays in this game early on. He's their backup tackle now. McCary out, Josh Jones out, and Noteboom in. A couple of really tough plays on that first possession where he got beat badly. And I do truly worry about the Ravens' offensive line depth. I do. I just they have to stay healthy, and they have to have their guys contribute at a high level, because if they don't, they might be in a little bit of trouble with the depth that they have behind them. So maybe Emory Jones is going to play at some point this season. I'm not really sure. His injury situation is kind of weird, but yeah, I think honorable mentions. Malik Ham had a good game. CJ Ravenel had a good game as well. Man, I think that there are a lot here. And if you have anybody in the chat who's watching with us live, or if you're watching back in video form, watching back in audio for listening back in audio form, and you want to message me on social media, be sure to do so. We can talk about it. I see Ataris Teddy stock down. Interesting. I'm curious to hear why. Genuinely, I'm curious. I thought he played well. I thought it was all over the place, but I want to hear your reasoning as to why. I think, to me, he just played better than he did in week 1. Like, I thought he got washed out on plays in week 1. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. June asking, LeJounte stock down. Yeah, I mean, compared to last week, yeah, I'd say he was certainly stock down. Let's see. Tanya's saying Martin had a good game. Yeah, he was good. He laid the boom down on Joe Milton. I'll tell you that. He did. Let's see. D Wiz saying Buchanan improved. Chris is saying Teddy did well. Carson had an interesting, he got put on his butt on a play, and I know that got John Harbaugh over talking to him. So yeah, 38 being a Keon Martin. Yep, Keon was good. The Ravens have a lot of this interesting depth that, might not be, like, with the way the Ravens roster is projected right now, might not have enough to make the roster at this current moment. But like, their practice squad, if they can get enough of these guys off of waivers, their practice squad's about to be loaded. Like, it is about to be disgustingly loaded here. So let's see, what else do we got here? June say, D Wiz saying no doubt. Ajabo saying, June saying Ajabo didn't do enough to win a spot. Yeah, I mean, now we got some word on Adisa Isaac that he's going to probably be put on IR here, and we'll get into those updates a little bit more as they continue to come out. But Ajabo might have made the rosters based off of that, or maybe someone else. Maybe they favor Malik Cam over him or take another guy. Like, I don't know how that's going to work, but yeah, Ajabo didn't flash nearly as much as he did of not as much as what we saw in that first game for sure. PC saying, Kevin, we saw multiple off linemen get beat and put on their back. Could this complex cadence be a possible issue? I think it's a major concern. I think they're just not showing a lot here. Like, they're not showing a bunch. I think that if it continues into the regular season, I'll be extremely concerned, because then we know that the trends that are happening now continue into the regular season. But once they switch things up, hopefully for the regular season, it will be a little bit better. Then I see Torres clarifying here. Kevin, I could only see but so much. Watching in person, everything was fast, but I didn't see Teddy much. Okay. Totally valid. I'm curious to see the tape in the film on that. I'm going to keep a close eye on Teddy, Falele, Cleveland, Mike Green. There are a lot of guys. Teddy's certainly one of them. So I'm curious we can both report back, Taurus, and see how we both feel about him as well. But Ravens, they win 31-13. Domination over the Dallas Cowboys here. That's all I have here on the instant reaction edition of the show. But of course, we're going to be back here on the Locked On Ravens squad show coming up soon. We're going to kick that off in just a couple minutes. So be sure you mosey on over there. Of course, we have instant reactions after every single game on Locked On Ravens. So be sure you check into that, as well as the watch alongs. You watch along with me. We react to every single play. It was really fun. We've done them twice now. We're going to do it again next week against the Commanders. So if you didn't pop in for that, highly recommend you pop in for that next week. So be sure on the way out, hit the like and subscribe button in video form, follow along in audio form. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, and I'll see you right back here soon on Locked On Ravens.